Us filthy Gehennas are winning again as the Sunshine Girls Serenade event is back on the menu, this time with Chiaki and Satsuki being introduced as the new permanent 3-star units, as well as the return of Dress Ako's and Makoto's banners. But remember, no Dress Hina banner rerun, hers only appears during actual anniversaries, so don't get confused. In this video, I will be reviewing Chiaki, whereas the Satsuki review will be done in a separate video, which should hopefully be uploaded a day or two later. Also, for those of you interested in pulling for Dress Ako and Makoto, you can check out my previous review on them. I think it still holds up pretty well, links all in the pinned comment. Anyways, without further ado, here is a short review of Chiaki. Fellas, my favorite Pandemonium Society student is finally here. Sorry Iroha, you've been dethroned. It's Chiaki! Man, ever since she was announced in JP months ago, she has shot up to become one of my favorite students. Cause to me, she is the perfect epitome of girlfriend material. For one, she is an absolute drop-dead gorgeous, cute and adorable demon. And I especially love her long black flowy hair. Some of you might think it's plain, but personally, that's the main reason why I'm in love with her. Not to mention that black tight choker around her neck and those beautiful crimson red eyes that sparkle with excitement or that go wah make her even more alluring. While Chiaki isn't exactly packing massive calcium cannons like her best friend Satsuki or big bundas, she is actually sexy in her own way. There's a dress sense with the loose tie and unbuttoned collars on her uniform, revealing that cleavage and accentuating her modest chest, and that short skirt that exposes those long slender legs. Some might even think that's more erotic and seductive than your typical big boobs and ass. Other than that, I'm a huge fan of her cheerful, friendly, infectious personality. I love that she's such a silly goober who loves taking pictures of anything, including Sensei. How her eyes light up and sparkle every time she thinks she's got a massive scoop. And don't get me started on the number of adorable facial expressions she makes. From her cute tehe pero face to that wah face whenever she messes up, and heck, she even joins the group of XD girls. Finally, we must talk about that L2D. Good golly gumdrops, this L2D alone sent the entire community in shambles. Cause no one expected such a spicy one from Chiaki. The devs knew what they were doing, making her sit under the table, ready to ambush us by taking an embarrassing photo and us wanting to punish her, cause it spawned a ton of fan art of Chiaki giving us head from under the desk as part of her correction, as well as her taking pictures of Sensei having a wank without realizing she's there. Jokes aside though, I really like her L2D. In my opinion, it's very aesthetic and she looks hella hot with her cleavage fully exposed and the pressed skirt. Plus that black messy hair without her hat makes her look even prettier. And those excited and crying expressions legit sent a warm fuzzy feeling to my heart. Oh, the BGM? It's a banger as well. Overall, I love Chiaki. She's definitely one of my favorite students, hence the long glaze session. To me, she's the perfect girlfriend cause she's cute, funny, beautiful, sexy, all at the same time. And I really wish I didn't go all in on the idol girls cause I have no paroxysms left to get her. So, what kind of student is she? Chiaki is a permanent sonic DPS unit with blue armor who has the following terrain modes: S combat power in urban terrains, D combat power in field, and B combat power indoors. These are the equipment she uses, Hat, Pin and Amulet, with the first improving her damage capabilities, while the other two mainly increase her survivability. Time to take a look at her skills. Chiaki's 6 cost EX deals damage to one enemy, though this attack cannot crit, while her basic skill increases her sonic effectiveness for 25 seconds, 20 seconds from level 1 to 9, every 30 seconds. Her enhanced skill boosts her attack, and with her sub skill, whenever she activates her EX, she increases her own EX skill damage for 7 seconds. At UA 40, she further improves her attack on her enhanced skill plus, and at UA 50, her urban combat power upgrades from S to SS. Now, how good is Chiaki? Well, she is one of the few purple single target DPS units that we currently have. And as you can tell from her simple yet powerful kit, she is a very strong one. Firstly, with her EX, she is able to deal massive damage to one enemy with its extremely high 2772% multiplier at max level. However, the main caveat of this skill is that it cannot crit, being similar to certain other students' EXs like Wakamo's accumulation stacks and Meru's weakness detection debuffs. Plus, this is also why she's rocking Amulet instead of Watch despite being a DPS unit. In spite of this, Chiaki's fairly high attack stat as well as her EX's huge multiplier are enough to compensate for this weakness. Plus, combined with the potent self buffs from her other skills, means her EX can still dish out tons of damage. Not only that, while she won't benefit from crit and crit damage buffs like those from Akko and Dress Aru, it allows for more flexible / unique team compositions, as you won't need to bring in a crit buffer if Chiaki is the team's hyper carry, and you would pair her with attack buffers like Ibuki or Kamhare, sonic effectiveness buffers like Hikari, and most importantly, Kisaki for her EX skill damage buff. Cause remember, Chiaki's damage output primarily comes from her EX. So Kisaki's buff is very much required in order to greatly amp up her EX's damage since it cannot crit, and the difference in damage with or without her is noticeable. Another thing to note is that her EX is quite expensive at 6 costs, so you'd have to pair her with cost-cutting units to reduce this burden. Moving on, her basic skill is really useful too, as it provides her with a potent 63.1% sonic effectiveness buff for the pretty good duration of 25 seconds at level 10 skill, though it only lasts for 20 seconds from level 1 to 9, so remember to up it, and this buff has an average proc time of 30 seconds. Not to mention, it can stack with the SE buffs from either one of Hikari's or Kikyo's basic skills, even though they are from the same source, as hers is a self buff while theirs are direct buffs. Plus, it can also stack with the former's EX's SE buff, all of which will help to shoot up her damage. Next, her Enhance and especially her Enhance Skill Plus further improve her damage output by boosting her attack, with her UE40 and UE50 being needed particularly for the harder difficulty content, as she'll need the additional attack and upgraded terrain mood to make up for her EX's guaranteed non-crit. Finally, her sub-skill is really useful, as she basically gets a free 46.9% EX skill damage buff just by using her EX. And again, you can combine it with Kisaki's EX skill damage buff for a 127.6% increase in her EX skill damage. Thus, overall, Chiaki is a really powerful sonic single target DPS unit whose damage output primarily comes from her EX. And even though it cannot crit, its high multiplier plus the potent self buffs from her other skills as well as those from other units are a big help in allowing her EX to deal massive amounts of damage. So, where can she be used in? Well, as Chiaki is currently the strongest urban purple single target DPS unit, she has seen quite a bit of use in certain content such as specific joint firing drills and some purple single target raids. However, since her banner's release in JP, there hasn't been many purple armored grand assaults with single target bosses, let alone those set in urban terrain. And so far, the raid that she's been used the most in is Purple Urban Bina, where she was brought into many Sensei's insane teams as she is able to destroy him with her EX, especially after being buffed by hyper buffers and applying potent defense down debuffs onto him through Swimsuit Kana or Akane and Maki. Though there were quite a number of senseis who were using Swimsuit Hanako in lieu of Chiaki, since she too has S combat power in urban, plus her damage output is still really good despite being an AoE damage dealer. However, in the recent few Purple Bina Grand Assault around a month ago, Chiaki saw little to no use due to her D combat power in few terrains. Instead, she was replaced with Maid Midori and S Hanako, both of whom have better moods in this terrain. Aside from Purple Bina, she could also technically be used in Indoor Purple Cheese Phase 2 to deal damage to the boss when he opens up while taking less damage from his raid attack on Insane and above. Though in the previous Grand Assault a few weeks ago, once again, Maid Midori was the preferred option for many senseis to get a higher score, but Chiaki can still be a solid pick for a comfy clear. Other than that, while there will be a purple Indoor Shirokuro Grand Assault coming next week in JP to test her in, she would probably be outshunned by Nozo Nozomi, the new purple single target DPS unit who is not only excellent in indoor terrains, but is also arguably the strongest purple single target damage dealer right now as a result of her high numbers and guaranteed crit, and this would apply to any other indoor purple single target raid, though Chiaki could still be a decent choice for one of your torment teams, or if you don't have Nozomi or any other purple single target DPS. Plus, I personally don't think Nozomi would be effective in urban terrains due to her terrible affinity. Lastly, other raids that she could theoretically be utilized in would be Purple Urban Hyro, perhaps Purple Armored Urban Kaiten Phase 2 against the robot, Purple Urban Shirokuro, and Purple Urban Horde, though she will take 2 times damage from his blue attacks. So overall, should you pull for Chiaki? Well, in my opinion, if you want a good Sonic single target DPS unit, maybe because you want to have a smoother clear in urban purple single target raids, or you don't have any of the others, or you want a backup for an extra team, then sure, you may pull for her. However, you can also skip her cause she isn't exactly a priority as there still isn't much content that she's been used in. So you can just save your Paroxenes for the 4th anniversary and borrow her from your club/friends list, especially cause we're off the back of the limited idol banners and a lot of us are wrung dry. Also, Nozomi, another extremely powerful Sonic single target damage dealer, is coming in a few months, and while they are both good in different terrains, I'd argue that Nozomi is way stronger, especially cause of her additional cost consumption gimmick and guaranteed crit, plus she is limited, so in my opinion, she is a much more important pull than Chiaki. Finally, one more reason to skip her is if you prefer to pull for Satsuki instead. Regardless, if you like me and she is your waifu and you want this adorable and spicy L2D so she can give you a hidden blowjob, then go ahead and pull for her. And that's all for this review. Again, I'll leave the link to the Satsuki review once it's uploaded down in the pinned comment. It should be up tomorrow hopefully, as well as the link to my previous review on Dress Ako and Makoto. Anyways, that's all from me. Let me know if you're pulling for Chiaki, good luck with your pulls if you are, and see you tomorrow.